Hi, I'm Lyndsie. My pronouns are she, her, and today I'd like to go over some hand and wrist prep or conditioning that you can start doing to get you ready to be down on your hands and knees, or to just start to increase the strength and time that you can spend down on your hands and knees. The kind of crummy thing about having hand and wrist pain is it tends to not get better unless we use it, we do it. Don't get me wrong, I don't want you to jump into handstands or full planks, but if you have tender hands and wrists, working on mobility and strength building them and increasing, progressing that strength building is what's going to get you to those moments where you can really support yourself. So the first thing I'd like to do is have you sit down. You're welcome to sit on the floor. That's my preferred place most of the time, but I realize it's not really accessible to everybody. So you're welcome to sit on your couch. You can sit in a chair, whatever's comfortable for you right now. I'm probably just going to be crisscross. And then we're going to work on some hand mobility movements. So we're going to take one hand up. Actually, let's start with this one. We're going to start with this one, and it's just flat at the moment. And then I'd like you to reach those fingertips backwards, finding a stretch across your palm. From here, you're going to flatten and fold those fingers forward, and then you're going to pull them in and make a tight grip of the fingers, including your thumb. I believe this is an E in sign language. And then from there, you're going to make a tight fist, and then straighten back up. And then arch back, fold, bring it all into that tight little E shape, and then a full fist. 2 more times. Reach out, fold, E shape, and fist. Last one. Up, reach back, fold, E shape, and squeeze. Now, spread the fingers out as wide as you can spread them out and wiggle them around a little bit. They might be starting to get tired already. Go ahead and set that hand down. We're going to do the other one. So, palm facing in towards you. You're going to arch those fingers back as far as you can get them to arch back. You're then going to fold them forward, bring them to that knuckles down tight E shape, and then make a fist. 3 more times. Flat to an arch back, fold forward, E shape, and fist. Last 2. Flat, arch back, fold forward, E shape, and squeeze that hand. Last one. Flat, arch back, fold forward, E shape, and squeeze into a fist. And then you're going to wiggle those fingers around and spread them out wide. Now, the next little bit I like to do is bring the hands together. I'm going to sit up a little higher so it can be in front of my body. You're welcome to stand. If you don't want to kneel, no big deal. You're going to bring all of your fingertips together, and you're going to push them towards each other. Your range of motion on this is going to be up to you. Now, you can see right away my hands are different. They are at different angles because last summer, I fell while I was roller skating and jammed my wrist. So this right wrist just takes a little more encouragement, a little more warming up for me to really get a good range of motion out of it and to feel stable on that wrist. We're just pushing, trying to find some stretch across the palm. And then here, I'd like you to focus on each individual finger. So you're going to push the pinky fingers both directions. Just try to focus on the pinky fingers themselves. And then the ring fingers, back and forth. Ooh. And then your middle fingers. Those are extra mobile, right? And then your pointer fingers. They all want to go with you. I know they do. And then come back to center. Shake your hands out a little bit. That might feel like a lot already. Now, to stretch the thumbs, the best way to do it is to take your thumbs like so and push them towards each other. Ooh, yeah. I can feel that all the way through my palm personally. And then release. Give me some fist grips and spreading your hands out, and it can be fast like you're flicking. The next little bit I like to do is pulling the fingers out. And it's not like we're trying to pull our fingers out of our sockets or anything. We're just trying to elongate them a little bit. So I like it doing fast. So I use one hand and grab the pointer finger and snap off the end of it, like you're pulling. And it should feel like a little massage. Only as much tension as feels okay for your hand. And then I'm going to go to the middle finger. I like leaving the thumb for last because it feels the most satisfying to me, I think. And then your ring finger. And then your pinky finger. And then we get to the thumb. And we pull. Get them longer. And then we're going to switch. We go to use the hand that just got stretched out to pull and flick off the end of the pointer finger. And then the middle finger. And then your ring finger. And then the pinky. And then your thumb. All right, let those arms dangle for a moment. Roll your wrists around. This is another good one you can do on the regular. Arms down by your sides, making a soft fist. You're not gripping hard. And we're just rolling it around. And then reverse that circle. My jammed wrist over last summer, I can feel it all the way up my forearm. It created a lot of tension in my body that just wasn't there before. And so I have to spend a lot of time being kind to those parts of my bodies, trying to get them to come back to the work that I'm used to being able to do on them. All right. Shake those arms out. Now, these next movements, I'm going to lift myself up into this high kneeling position just so that my arms can actually dangle. You are welcome to stand here as well or continue being seated in a chair if that's where you are right now. You're going to take one arm out to the side and you're going to tuck the wrists under, and then the fingers are pointed towards you. And then you're just going to rotate the hand and then bring it back and rotate it the other way. So you're making a scooped cupping motion and rolling in and out. And go. It will happen all the way up the arm, but it's all connected, so that's okay. I like doing one at a time so I can really focus. Last time. And back to center to let that arm dangle. Now the other arm hovers out to the side and you tuck the fingers under and we rotate and rotate. You may feel a big, massive stretch in those forearms. We kind of neglect that part of our body. We don't think, oh man, I need a massage in my forearms. But man, our hands and our forearms, they bear a lot of load in our life. We spend a lot of time on devices that require us to use our thumbs a lot more than they're used to or built for. And so giving your hands a little bit of love is just a nice way to go. Roll it, and the other way, one more time. And back. Shake your arms out. Now, here's your opportunity if kneeling doesn't work for you and or you don't have a yoga block. I'd like you to stand up next to a table. You're going to use the corner of said table for this mobility work. All right, and then from here, I'm going to turn a little bit to the side. You're going to be putting the heel of your hand either on the block or if you've got the edge of the table, having those fingers dangling off the side. Now, the movement is sitting back or leaning back a little bit and rocking forward. In this first round, we are not gripping with those fingers. They're just relaxed. And we're only going through the range of motion that feels appropriate for our wrist. Now, this other one, if this other wrist that's not prepped is like, oh, I'm mad at you, why are you doing this? Put a fist down. So we're trying to not let those fingers grip. Mine want to. They're shaking even. They want to grip down so badly. 2 more. Last one. Now we are going to grip. I want that thumb to wrap the corner of either the table or your yoga block. And you're going to squeeze with the fingers and do the same thing. This is where you might start to feel a lot more tension in this movement. When you activate those muscles in the hands, their connection to the wrist and up the forearm starts to be really integrated and more of what you're doing now. And man, that thumb is tight. Two more. Last one. Okay, we're going to give that wrist a break and go to the other one. You're going to set that fist down, the one you were just working on. Try to not have it flat. And then we're going to find the corner of this block, fingers dangling. And we're going to rock forward and back here. Your range of motion is what your wrists are capable of today. And today, every day will literally be different. So I want you to be realistic and take care of yourself. Again, you can be down kneeling like this with a yoga block, or you can be up standing at a table with your hand on the edge and corner. We're trying to not grip with those fingers. Mine want to so badly as that arm comes forward. They're like, how do I balance you? How do I help? Two more times. Last one. All right, now we are going to grip that block. Make sure you come to the corner so that the thumb can grip around your table as well if you're using a table. And then, continuing that grip, you're going to rock forward and back. And this is going to be a different experience. Each wrist is different, and the change of the tension that we have through our hands will each be different as well. Two, and one, and come on back down. Okay, now we're going to go back to the other side, the first side we started on. And we're going to flatten the whole hand out on top of either the table or that block. And then we're going to make little circular motions. So we're going to rock forward, to the left, back, and up the right. Like we're rolling around on the wrist. Again, there's only as much body pressure as you are ready to put on this wrist. Be realistic. Don't go overboard. Hands as spread as you can get them. That means my thumb tip and pinky fingertip are falling off the sides of the block. And then reverse it. Other way. Two more. Last one. And we're going to switch again. Bring it back to the second side. Flattening that hand out as flat as you can get it. And circling. Ooh. By all means, if that really forward motion where you can see that my forearm is kind of over the top of my hand, if that's too intense for you, work back here. You can circle in this less intense angle. And then you can just make it progressively bigger. So that's the deal, is that if you really want to strengthen your wrists and create some movement and a mobility in them that lets you do hands down things, you got to start easy. You have to. And work your way up slowly. Two more. And then we'll reverse it. And reverse. Come up and around. Moving around on the wrist prepares you and it for unpredictable things to happen in classes. Sometimes you'll put your hands down and you won't be exactly placed correctly. And if your wrist isn't straight stacked on top of each other, it might be an intense feeling. So learning how to shift around that wrist and teaching it that it's got a bigger range of motion than it thinks it does is helpful for those situations in class and also just in life. There are moments where you have to put those hands down and help yourself up. and 1. Okay. I know we keep switching back and forth, but we're going back to that first side. We're going to hang the fingers and relax them. And we're going to bend the elbow. Softly bend that elbow and rock forward and back. This one's not as intense, so you might want to walk your other hand forward and back. We're trying to not grip. I was automatically gripping. Ugh. The bent elbow is just another gentle way to get into this, because there are moments that you're on your hands and knees and you got to bend your elbows. Let's talk about push-ups, man. That is a bent elbow moment. So we have to teach the forearms and hands how to handle that. Last 2. Last 1. Okay, now you guessed it. We're gripping the block, bending the elbow, same thing. It's not as big of a range of motion, but it's still helpful, still effective. And man, I can feel this while I'm gripping the block all the way up to my elbow. I'm firing up muscles that I don't necessarily work unless I'm doing something like a plank or a push-up. And those moments and those shapes where you can feel those muscles, that's conditioning for those bigger, harder things. 2 more. Last 1. All right, let's go to the other side. Okay, fingers are dangling. We're trying to let them relax, and then we're going to bend the elbow. And we're going to rock forward and back. Oh, my hands want to grip. Woo. Three more. 2. And 1. Now we're going to grip for sure. Soften that elbow again if it's gotten straight. And same thing. Rock forward and back. Yeah, I can feel this up to my triceps on this side. You know, we talk a lot as movement professionals about how everything's connected, but it really is. It sounds like a broken record, but everything happening in your hands connects all the way up your arm. So we got to be good to them. 2 more. My triceps are also just very sore today, so that might be part of it. Last 1. Whew. And now I'd like you to sit back or stand up for a moment. If this is too deep of a bend for your knees, you're welcome to come up to a high kneeling as well. You're going to shake your wrists out. And I mean like shake them, like you're trying to flick water off the tips of your fingers. Let them get loose. And then rest them for a moment. Now here, I'd like to start working on stretching the top parts of our forearms. It has a lot to do with hand and wrist prep as well. So you're going to flip one hand over. So the top of the hand is what's down on the floor. And this angle here is up to you. So right now it's pretty intense. I can slide it back and it's less intense, or pull it forward and make it more dramatic, right? Finding that big pull up the forearms. Please don't mind my peeliness. This is a very fresh tattoo. Now here, I like to rock a little side to side personally. Also, you are still totally able to do this on the table. You do not have to be down on the floor for this motion. One more time, rock side to side. Come back to center and pick that hand up. Again, flick it out like you're trying to fling water off of your fingers. All right, other side. We're going to flip it over, top of the hand down, and its placement will determine how intense the stretch is. The further you go forward, the more intense that stretch will be. Back here is going to be a little more low key. So I want you to find your position and then rock from side to side. And then find your way back to the middle, sit up or stand up and shake that arm out. We're going to stretch those fingertips again, like you're making the little church steeple thing, that game from when I was little. Woo! And you're going to just push those fingers into each other and then literally shift it across your body, going back and forth. And you're going to feel it differently each direction. Like that's pulling up my forearm on the right side, which is my tired, tight one from when I fell. And it's a little more low key when I push it to the left. Come back to center, flatten those hands out in front of you. Straighten the arms out, and then open the hands away like you're shooting a fireball. And then take those arms back behind you, fingertips pointed back, and then in front. 3 more times. 2. And 1. Stay back here. If your middle finger's kind of numb, that's normal. You're okay, I promise. Little baby lifts and lowers. This is a nerve stretch, and we're just going to floss it a little. 2. And 1. Lower those arms down. So at the beginning, I spoke a little bit about how putting your hands down for quadruped is something that doesn't get better unless you do it. And the prep helps. Don't get me wrong. All this stretching, all this mobility, all this work is very, very helpful. But there are times that you're going to need to load bear. You're going to need to. And so my go-to for starting that out is coming to a wall. I don't have a lot of open space in my studio, but you can get your hands on either side and find some weight in your body. Find a little press and hang out here. It's not an intense pressure, not an intense weight, but it is weight bearing. And then over time, you can get lower. And by that, I mean, find a ledge. Find that dining room table you were just working and bear weight here. You don't have to do push-ups. You don't have to do anything fancy. You're just holding. And then eventually, my suggestion is to start taking time down on the floor. You're in quadruped, and don't stay there forever. If your knees bother you in quadruped, pad those bad boys up. And if that doesn't work, we can find some other alternatives. But if you want to get to quadruped, try them down. Give them a go. Let them see how they can do. Now here, this is both hands down and knees down. So it's not as intense as a plank. And a nice way to practice and build up strength in one arm is to just shift and take the other arm out. Hey, guess what? My right arm's holding a lot more weight in it now. And then we trade. Just back and forth, trying to bear a little longer each time. One more each way. And down you come. And that's really it, folks. I would just like to challenge you to try to take and find moments in your life where you can bear weight on your hands and wrists. Leaning against walls at different heights, putting your hands on a table and stepping your feet out back so you can really hold yourself up, and then working towards quadruped so that you really can get those moments, those beautiful moments where you can find that long line of your body with hands down. It's not required for physical fitness by any means, but there's so many fun, cool things to do with your hands down that I would be remiss not to teach you how to get there eventually. If you have tight hands and wrists and this quadruped or planking doesn't feel great to you, try adding this series of hand movement and stretching and strength building with some added wall leans or table leans 2 days a week. Put it in your life 2 days a week and see what it does for you. Take your time. You can add a day. If you start to go, okay, this is easier, I've got this, add a day. Add a third day. It doesn't take a super long time, and it can be a little meditation moment for you too. Stop, breathe, move your hands. Hopefully my voice is calming enough that you don't feel stressed out. But that's it, folks. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you next time with nice, happy hands and wrists. Have a good one.